Hi, this is Max from Dynamixes. In this video, I will explain how to create a retargeting profile and solve a first animation with our latest version of Performer software, which is 2.7 version released in December 2018. Creating a retargeting profile is the second step in Dynamixes fashion mockup workflow after creating a tracking profile. You will need your tracking profile and a 3D face with the rig ready for your 3D software. Maya, 3ds Max, Motion Builder or Cinema 4D. Once you will be done with your retargeting profile, you'll be able to retarget your tracking so it animates your 3D character face accordingly. Creating a retargeting profile can take between 20 to 50 minutes, depending upon the complexity of your character face rig. In this video, I will walk you through connecting Performer with your 3D software via the bridge, creating your face entity set, editing the retargeting links, and solving the animation. In the previous tutorial, we've seen how to create a tracking profile. It is now time to proceed to the retargeting part. So, I open Performer 2 SV, load an existing project. I open my 3D software, in this case, I will use Maya. I've loaded my character. I now need to connect Performer to my 3D software so we can animate our character with retargeting links. As I said before, make sure your character is rigged, that it can be animated. So here I have a complete rig that lets me animate the character. Depending on the controller I move, I will see it moving. So now we have to make both softwares, Maya and Performer, get connected to each other. Now we have to create a bridge connection. First of all, check if the bridge plugin has been installed. To do so, it will depend upon the software, but in Maya, go to Windows, Settings Preferences, and Plugin Manager. It shows you a list of installed plugins. The XYZ bridge should appear in the list. Make sure you check Loaded and Autoload boxes. Load it to load the plugin for its ongoing session and autoload to load it automatically every time you open the software. Once it's done, we will jump to Maya Script Editor. To type the command DXYZ bridge with a capital B in Mail section. It will open the Dynamixes bridge window. Click on the Start button. Go to the Studio section in Performer and click on Connect. It is now analyzing the content of your 3D scene. No worries if warning shows up. As we are scanning the scene, the software will warn you which elements cannot receive animation keys. Click on OK. A quick reminder to let you know that you got connected, just look at the Studio section in Performer. Your 3D software and project location should appear right here. For mine, it shows Autodesk Maya 2018 and the name of my scene. Now that you're connected to the bridge, we have to create a new face entity set. This is a list made of controllers you want to animate on your character. You need to create one entity set per character. Click on Create under Face Entity Set in the Studio section in the Session mode. Our retargeter splits the face in 3 different zones, which we call solvers. The lower solver, the upper solver, and the gaze solver. The upper zone will mainly animate forehead, eyebrows, and eyelids. The gaze will only animate eyeballs, not the eyelids. The upper zone does, so it is important to know. The lower zone will focus on the lip sync. You just have to select the controller that you want to classify per solver in Maya. You'll see 2 identical columns in the Entity Set Face window. One is entitled Scene Selection, and the other one, Table Selection. It depends upon the context you choose to interact with. To assign the selected controllers from the Scene or Viewport, I click on Assign to Upper Solver in the Scene Selection column. All the names of the controllers I have selected appear in the list. I choose the controller named Gaze Control by mistake, on purpose for the demo, knowing it should be assigned to the Gaze Solver. I will remove it from this list by selecting it and click on the Assign to the Gaze Solver in the Table Selection column. You can choose any controller from the list that you want to reassign to another solver in the table selection. So you make sure every item appears in the appropriate solver if you realize you made a mistake. I will now select all my other controllers that are included in the lower solver and assign them accordingly from the scene selection. You can also remove any entity from the selection either from the scene or from the table by clicking on the Remove from Selection button. Now we are done. We have to name our face entity set. Click on Create. And now you can see that the name just appeared in the Face Entity Set window. The Face Entity Set is the list of elements I want to edit retargeting links with. I can edit or either add or remove controllers. I can also import or export the entity set. You'll see empty face shapes have appeared on the frames from the tracking profile in the session mode. That means that the frames have not been linked to the character yet. We will do that by editing retargeting links for each of our frames. Now that I've built my entity set, a third icon has unfrozen in the toolbar. Switch to the retargeting profile mode. So we worked with the annotation mode, the session mode, and now we are going to work with the retargeting profile mode. If I click on the retargeting profile mode, I will find the frames from an annotation without the annotation marks. You must start building your retargeting profile with the neutral pose as for the tracking profile. This is a mandatory step. Select the neutral pose. It is now becoming more like an animator work. We will try to retarget the more accurately so that the actor's expression matches 3D character ones. So we'll start moving our controllers. For the neutral pose, it is pretty simple. Closed lips, gaze looking straight, and neutral expression. Press Save and you'll see the mask icon getting colored. You see, there is a section called Training Purposes with frozen options. This section lets you select which retargeted part of the face you want to save as data for the software to learn. We call the three parts or zones of the face the solvers. For the neutral pose, you must save all the controllers for every solver. For the next pose, I've opened my mouth and moved my eyebrows. The three solvers under training purposes are now ready to be checked in case I want to select a particular part of the face. I can decide to take into account the lower, the gaze, or the upper solvers. Why? Because when it is first time you proceed in creating retargeting links, the comedian or yourself may have focused on making extreme expressions. It is easier to get landmarks, but often, after a while, you can hesitate regarding the level of expressivity. Are the eyebrows very high, medium high, or low high raised? There is a risk to give a fake information on the upper part if I check the box. So, if I'm not sure, I can deactivate the solver. Please note that you must have at least 4 frames with retargeting links for all the zones. So, for this one, I'll check all the zones. I'm going to move on editing retargeting links for other frames. For this new frame I've selected, I can decide to start with the neutral pose of my character by clicking on the mask where there is an N for neutral. To do so, I'll click the mask here with an N. I will move controllers around slightly. I will select all the zones from this picture and press Save. If an expression in a solver or a new frame looks similar to another frame I already created retargeting links for, I can copy existing retargeting links and pass them to the targeted frame per solver. So I get to this frame and copy the upper values, since I think it is close to this expression with the upper on this frame. Especially, I'm interested into the motion of the eyebrows. I go to the other frame and pass the links. I do the work in Performer and see the result in Maya. You can use existing retargeting links as reference for next ones. You don't have to create retargeting links for each frame. If you get 60 images in your tracking profile, you can decide to get retargeting links for only 40 of them. Yet, the more retargeting links you edit, the more fluid and organic your animation will look. For example, with only 4 links, you'll get a very robotic animation. Do not hesitate to check if you got all the controllers by switching from a picture to another to see if every controller moves accordingly. Now I have edited my retargeting links, a new icon has unfrozen that lets me build the retargeting profile. The software is ready to learn from those examples I've just created. Once it is done, a message lets you know retargeting profile correctly built. I can now send my animation to Maya. To do so, you have to switch to the session mode. This icon just unfroze here in the toolbar. This is the Solve Retarget button. So this icon lets you send your tracking results and convert it to animation keys for your rig thanks to the links you've just edited. Let's click on it. A new window pops up with solving options. The first one lets you choose a starting and ending frame. It is related to the timeline. Then you can choose between 2 options for animation curves. For now, we'll just use the options set by default: no smoothing and medium fidelity curve simplification. We'll see in an advanced user tutorial how these animation curves options can affect your final solving. If you want to synchronize both timelines in Performer and Maya, check the box with the link next to the play button. I'm satisfied with this first result. To conclude, you see you can get very flexible with your animation result. If I want to refine my animation and re-edit my retargeting links, I will click on the icon to switch back to the retargeting profile mode. If an error message pops up, click on Retry to get rid of all the animation keys. You have to make sure there is no animation keys left on your controllers to rework your retargeting links. If not, whatever retargeting links you rework, your animation and poses will not move. Animation keys always have the priority in viewports. Once animation keys have been created and you get back to building the retargeting profile, warnings will keep popping up. To avoid mistakes, you can use the icon here to click the entity set animation keys in the retargeting mode, and all the keys will be deleted from the controllers and you'll be able to get back to the re-editing retargeting links. You can save your modifications, rebuild your retargeting profile, and resolve in the session mode. Every time you want to rework your animation, you will just have to connect back to your 3D software with the bridge button. Please be aware that 3D softwares like Maya, 3ds Max and Cinema 4D, for example, are not refreshed in real time. If you open a new scene, it still detects my character from the old scene. If I had a modification in the retargeting links, you can make the software crash. So I'll reload my character from my previous scene, I click on Update Scene Content, and we're good to go. This is all, folks. If you want to deepen your knowledge on retargeting, you can jump to our Tips and Advanced Users tutorials in which I explain to you how to speed up the process when you got a lot of frames to animate, or experience live mocap with our real-time pipeline. Enjoy!